부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
We received some good news regarding the country's birth rate this week. So let's start with the good news. This is the first good news in 9 years. South Korea's birth rate increased last year compared to the year before. This is the first time that this has happened in nearly a decade. However, on that same day this figure came out, the authorities also said that South Korea's suicide rate reached the highest level in 13 years. We often hear that life and death are out of our control. But if we're talking about this type of premature death, suicide, this is definitely something that has to be prevented. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, February 28th on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. Welcome to our program. And I'm going to give a shout out to Monami Waver. She's number one today. There's always this little mini competition going on about who says hello first in our YouTube chat room. So congratulations. Yes, it's a little fun thing we do in the morning. Anyhow, it's kind of like the day after. Yesterday was, amazing. We celebrated our 16th anniversary, and it's kind of like back to our regular scheduling. So, by the way, thank you so much for tuning in and chiming in, and we'll get everything sorted out, and we'll contact the winners individually. So thank you for all your well wishes. Here's hoping that we have 16 more years together. So we're talking about birth and death. Right? Consider things out of our human control. And I do want to say, trigger warning, we're going to be talking about things related to suicide. So a warning there. We also know that these, factors, there are certain factors that we can control or affect to foster conditions that are more conducive to having children or preventing people from taking drastic action. We saw a juxtaposition earlier this week on the topic of life and death. Statistics Korea said that the number of babies born in 2024 was 3.6% higher than that in 2023. This is a first rebound in 9 years. So that's definitely good news, right? But on the very same day, the Statistics Office released the tentative suicide rate from last year, which apparently went back to the levels from 13 years ago, despite all the efforts that have been made. According to these early numbers, nearly 40 people took their own lives every day last year. So let that sink in. Every day, on average, about 40 people committed suicide. And the social and economic factors, they do play a role in this. We often address this education zeal, we'll call it, here in Korea, where young children, not even in elementary school yet, are in these kind of competitive private education, drive, right? And then that competition, it starts before kindergarten and it stays with you throughout, all the way through getting into college, and even at the college level, there is stiff competition. If you want those scholarships, you got to compete. And so then they're faced with a tough job market, going all the way to the high senior poverty rate we have here. So these factors make life hard in general, which all goes back to the low birth rate and the high suicide rate, at least in part. But so these rates are at a point where, they could constitute a social crisis for the country when you think about it. And I think we're far overdue for changes to the overall quality of life. It is all interconnected, though, when you think about it, right? the high pressure system we have here in Korea. Lots of just young people always under pressure. So I know it's a heavy topic, but still gotta, report the news to you. Well, we're gonna change it up because it's Friday, and it's like I feel like I'm hungover, but I'm not. I didn't drink or anything. But I just feel like, after yesterday, I exerted all that energy, right? And then so a light topic for today. So are you ready? Which would you rather? I'm gonna give you two choices. You can only choose one, and you have to tell me why. Here we go. Number one, complete a full marathon, 42.195 kilometers, versus take the CSAT or the SAT again. Ooh, okay, so let that sink in. 나는 차라리 1번 마라톤 완주하겠다. 근데 이게 42.195km잖아요. versus 수능 다시 치겠다. Ooh, okay. So, and by the way, when I say 수능을 치다, it doesn't mean just sit there, or I don't know, fill in the bubble with your name and then 엎드려 자는 건 안 되고요. 최선을 다해야 되는 거예요. 그 마라톤 완주도 it has to be okay, well, I'll just walk it the whole time. No, 그러니까 최선을 해서 뛰고 쉬어서 걷다가, but you have to complete it. So those are the caveats. So send in your response and why to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to the YouTube channel, type in BEFM, 부산영어방송, and we have so many subscribers now, over 121,000. So thank you for that as well, once again. So you click on that subscribe, log in, and you can compete with our other waivers to see who's number one. Pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. Also, Kakao Talk. Great way to get in touch with me. It's free. So go to 친구 찾기, add a friend, and then type in BEFM. Same thing there. You can also send in photos, by the way. So the ways you can tune into us, the very first way, 90.5 FM, right? But also 103.3 FM if you're in the Busan area. Like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube. You can watch it at your leisure. And if you missed our program yesterday, I highly recommend you go back and watch it. It was just an amazing time. And available on the Papang app, at least for our Wa글와글 segment. But we have our own BFM app as well that you can download for free. All right, looking ahead to our TGIF. And by the way, the last day of February, can you believe? Yes. That was real PD님, right? She went, yeah, it's March tomorrow. So we have Casey with Foreign Press Highlights, Vasana with What in the World. Our special interview, we're going to be focusing on the war in Ukraine. As we mark the third anniversary of this conflict, things are changing quickly as we speak with the Donald Trump administration. However, we do need to take a look back to find out what's been happening ever since the beginning. So I'll look back on this, the past 3 years in the war, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:08. These are today's headlines. Constitutional Court rules justice appointment delay unconstitutional. The Constitutional Court ruled yesterday that acting President Choi Sang-mok's decision to withhold the appointment of a court justice last year is an unconstitutional act, infringing upon the right of the National Assembly. National Assembly passes special counsel bill on Yoon's alleged election interference. The opposition-controlled National Assembly passed a special counsel bill yesterday to investigate allegations against impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol's influence peddling scandal linked to the parliamentary by-elections in 2022. North Korea seems to have deployed additional troops to Russia. North Korea appears to have deployed additional troops to support Russia's war against Ukraine, although the number of recently deployed troops is being assessed, according to South Korea's spy agency yesterday. South Korea to push for stronger punishment on animal abuse. The South Korean government plans to strengthen punishment and preventative measures for animal abuse over the next 5 years as part of efforts to improve animal welfare. Trump says U.S. will impose additional 10% tariff on China. U.S. President Donald Trump said Thursday local time that proposed tariffs on Canada and Mexico will go into effect on Tuesday next week, while he will impose an additional 10% tariff on goods from China on that day. And these are today's headlines. It's time for Busan Updates. We have Sue here in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
So happy it's Friday. I feel like I ran a marathon.
Already.
Of sorts. Like, no, it was just like, you know when you like exert so much energy into something really exciting?
Right.
And then the day after, it's just like,
I'm done.
I need coffee. Right now, stat. Yeah. So today's text topic, it's a light one. So which would you rather finish that full marathon, 42 point, what was it? 42 points?
195.
195, yes. So 42.195 kilometers versus taking the Sunung or SAT. But it has to be like full throttle, not like, okay, I'm going to write my name and then I'm going to take a nap for 5 hours, right? So what would you say?
Right. You know what? Both are like marathons, isn't it? 두 개 다
true.
마라톤입니다. 공부 마라톤이니까.
맞아요. 아니면 like physically. Right.
Well, even though I enjoyed studying, I love studying, but I would rather
Really?
try to finish the full marathon because
Really? What's your reasoning?
if I do get a like really bad score
Yes.
on the test, that would just destroy my self-esteem.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
So you would rather try the physical aspect.
Yes, I would rather suffer. And I will get over, my body will get over.
Oh, okay.
But then the low score will like last forever.
That'll stay with you, right? Ah, interesting. Interesting take, but I like that. Both are marathons. That's true, physical and mental, right? Well, we're going to jump into our first update. But before we do so, I want to read this message first because I gave a shout out to 보담이 Waver and they texted back saying, 우와, 감사합니다. 출근 중 이동하면서 듣는데 6시 59분만 되면 가슴이 두근두근해요.
That is
How
so
sweet is that?
Yeah.
가슴이 두근두근해요. Oh.
She's so nice.
Yes, yes. Oh, well, thank you for your kind message. Yes, we like messages like that. But anyhow, let's jump into our first update. Busan is set to carry out administrative enforcement at Suyeongbae Yacht Stadium as part of its long-delayed redevelopment project, right?
The yacht stadium was originally built for the 1986 Asian Games, and the redevelopment plan was approved in 2014, but stalled due to lawsuits and opposition from residents.
Right.
So meanwhile, the area has become a yacht tourism hub since rentals were legalized in 2015. And after more than a decade of delays, the redevelopment plan is finally moving forward. And as part of this, the city is going to enforce the eviction of unauthorized yachts and boats.
Yes, yes. So when is this going to happen? Because, you know, like you said, it's been happening and then there are lawsuits. And so when?
So there are currently 153 boats parked on land without permission or with expired permits. So the city plans to remove them in 2 phases. And first, 78 boats between April 4th and April 30th. And the second phase will remove 75 boats between May 2nd and May 25th. And as for the 299 boats moored in the water, they will be dealt with later based on the redevelopment schedule. And businesses operating inside the yacht stadium, like repair shops, they will also have to leave through legal processes. And the city is giving boat owners and businesses a chance to move out voluntarily by sending notices and warnings. But if they don't comply, forced removal will happen. And once removed, boats will be stored for 6 months, and the owner owners will have to pay for the costs. And if they don't claim their boats, the city will sell or scrap them. And Busan has been trying to clean up the area since last April, encouraging voluntary removals. So far, 83 boats have been already taken away. And the city has allowed the flocking dock that can hold 28 yachts to be used until the sea construction is finished in February next year. And this means yacht rental companies can keep offering yacht tours until the redevelopment is done.
Ah, yes, indeed. So that is the latest on the Suyeong Bay Yacht Stadium. So thanks for the update on that. And now to mark the 30th anniversary of its establishment, Busan's Suyeonggo district is restoring plum blossoms at the historic site of the Dongnae Old Town Fortress. So tell us more about this.
So 동래고읍성, so this is Dongnae Old Town Fortress, is served as Busan's administrative, diplomatic, and defense center for nearly 1,000 years, from the Three Kingdoms period to the early Joseon dynasty. And historically, the fortress was known for its scenic plum trees, 매화, and which were even depicted in ancient records and paintings. And as part of the restoration project, Suyeonggo district plans to revive this cultural heritage by planting plum trees at the site. So 300 residents will grow plum tree saplings, and then later the district will receive them and plant them around the fortress site in 3 years. And in addition, 2 30-year-old plum trees will be planted in Suyeong Historic Park to symbolize the district's continued growth as a central district of Busan.
Well, what else is the district planning to do?
And they will also donate eggs to low-income households and send appreciation letters to long-time taxpayers and give awards to 9 proud Suyeong citizens at a ceremony on March 5th. And the district will also celebrate the first baby born in Suyeonggo district on March 1st with a special visit and gift.
Ooh, very nice to commemorate this. So thank you for sharing that. Next up, let's talk about the construction of the Busan Independence Movement Memorial Hall. It's officially moving forward. So yay.
Yes. The city announced that it selected the design plan for the Memorial Hall through a public competition last December. Currently, basic design work is underway, and exhibition design work is also being carried out starting this month. And the Memorial Hall will be designed to highlight the historical and symbolic significance of Busan's independence movement while considering accessibility for citizens.
Yes.
And instead of just listing historical events, the exhibits will tell stories about the people and events from the region. At a recent meeting, it was suggested that the space should be family-friendly so people of all ages can connect with the history. And starting next month, Busan will also begin collecting more materials related to the independence movement from local families and citizens.
I see. All right, moving on, this last item. This is regarding our city. The city will introduce programs that allow citizens to learn, enjoy, and heal. Love this idea. In the forest, right?
Yes. Starting with Haeundae Arboretum and other local sites, the city is offering tailored educational programs for all ages, from families to youth and adults. And special events like Children's Day programs and the Busan Forest Experience Festival will also boost participation. And the city is also focusing on expanding forest experience centers. And Ulsukdo Kids Forest Experience Center will offer education activities for children, and there will be additional centers in Sasango District, Yeongdo-gu District, and Gijanggun County as well. And this will provide seasonal and ongoing forest education opportunities. And in Sasang Neighborhood Park, Sasang Glin공원, a large forest education center and exploration trail will be built to offer ways for people to connect with nature. And construction will begin next month and is expected to finish in December 2026. And the city is also working on forestry policies to address climate change and transition into a carbon-neutral city, actively seeking feedback from citizens and forest experts.
Yes, that sounds really, really lovely. So thank you for giving us the details on that. Have a wonderful weekend, and of course, we'll check in with you on Monday. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Catherine.
All right, and I'll be back with your traffic and weather. It's now 7:19. Here is your traffic report. There is a car broken down on 울숙도대로, 신평 장림 industrial complex to the 울숙도 bridge in that direction right at the entrance of the bridge. So please be careful. Congestion detected on Dongso overpass from Pomnagor ramp to the old Kaegum tollgate. Also, traffic buildup on Nakdong-Namno from Myeongji interchange to Seongsan three-way intersection. Also, slow going on Chungnyeol-daero from Daeseong intersection to Mandok intersection. Currently, it's nice and warm, 8 degrees. It's going to go all the way up to 16 degrees Celsius. There is a dry weather special alert in Busan and bad find us levels in parts of the city. Across the weekend, warm temperatures will continue. So we're expecting a low of 6 degrees Celsius and a high of 14 tomorrow. And on Sunday, even warmer. A low of 11 and a high of 16. However, rain is forecast for tomorrow afternoon to last throughout the weekend. And this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a morning after.
I am so hungover, but sober, completely sober, but yeah.
Yes.
Hungover.
You know.
Yeah.
We know. Yes. So today we're talking about, I think, a fun text topic.
I think so too.
Which would you rather run, not run, complete, I don't want to say run because who's fit enough to run a full marathon?
Not me.
This morning,
Not
right?
me.
Okay, so complete a full marathon, 42.195 kilometers, versus taking the Sunung or SAT. But once again, full throttle. You got to
Although,
really
full disclosure,
yes.
I think the SATs are much easier and shorter, right? It's also been at least a decade and
Right.
then a few
Shorter.
years.
Yes.
So I would take the SATs again for sure, but can I take the 수능 except take the English part like 5 times?
for every subject.
영어만 5교시 다치면 안 돼요?
듣기 5번
Yeah,
할수 있어요.
yeah. I can do the English part for
Right.
yeah, but if not, I think I'd at least attempt to run a marathon because that would be good for me. Or
You're a
as,
runner.
Taking,
Yeah.
but then my maximum is 10 kilometers, not 40,
That's so-
whatever point, whatever.
Right.
But I think sitting there for 6 hours is so bad for my back, and then the whole, like Sue said, it's so bad for my self-esteem.
That's
so why
true.
put myself through all that? Yeah.
And what about looking back on your school days? Since we're talking about
you guys,
you
guys, I have
not-
so much to say.
Hello. Can I get the question out of my mouth
No.
first? Okay. So not about your studious self, but about your PE, like gym class, or what were you good at, and what did you suck at? What were you really bad at?
All of you. Well, my first B plus and my only B plus throughout my entire high school career was in PE. So that tells you the relationship I had with physical education. Much more athletic. I mean, am I ever athletic? Much more active now than I was back then. But even back then, my better subject was running. I did hold my middle school's record for the most swings missed during baseball. Missed. Like hot
swing.
at 13. So yeah, nice little lucky number 13. Yeah, and then I am so not, remember those presidential fitness tests that we had to do, like 체력장 in Korean? The different categories. I was okay at most of them, except the sit and reach, like 유연성 test.
I was number 1 in that.
Of course you were. That does not surprise me.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So at your heels is 0, and then
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
the plus and minus. What was your number?
I don't remember because it was not in centimeters.
Okay.
it was
in
in
inches.
It was in
Yeah.
inches, right? But I just remember I was
Because there was a
competitive.
girl who got like 13, like plus 13, and she
I was
just
like-
kept extending. And I was like,
Right.
Like, what are you made
Because
of?
my mom had put me in gymnastics class when I was younger, so I was really flexible then, back then.
Interesting.
So I was number one in that.
I
and
did-
number one in sit-ups for like the female side, though.
Ooh, we're going to get to that for wa글와글.
Oh, we
Forward
are?
to wa글와글 in for sit-ups, but I was at -2. Oh, and I did ballet.
Negative
Did
2
ballet.
for what?
For the reach.
Oh, I was gonna say you
Yeah.
can do my -2 sit-ups.
No,
Like, how is that possible?
But no, the reach, I couldn't get to my feet. I can't touch the floor. Yeah,
Oh, speechless.
So dead
Okay.
air. Yeah. All right.
Okay,
All right.
Let's jump into the presidential impeachment trial. Final arguments have been made, and now we're kind of in the waiting process. But while this is going on, let's go over the possibilities of how the Constitutional Court may rule.
Right. So we're looking at roughly 2 weeks of waiting time for the Constitutional Court to deliberate.
Yes.
Of course, this isn't official. It's based on the previous 2 impeachment trials. So we're looking at all the options that we may see once that day comes, because experts are even divided on how things may pan out. So we're looking at from all to nothing and something in the middle. So a lot of experts are saying that all justices could, and at least according to their opinion, would vote to uphold the impeachment. And this includes Seoul National University's Law School Professor Emeritus Cho Tae-yong, who recently wrote on his social media that just the fact that the president declared martial law when we are not in a time of war and also a similar situation, that is a major breach of the Constitution.
Sure.
And even him in the decree banning National Assembly activities. So that would be reason enough. By the way, in terms of the number, you need at least 6 justices to vote and uphold the impeachment.
Yes.
But that number, even if the justices were to uphold impeachment, if it's not at a full 8 right now, maybe 9 later, a unanimous decision, 만장일치, then we may see a heavy social divide and a political divide and ramifications to follow. So there are some experts who speculate that if the justices don't go 8-0, they actually might continue the discussions longer, so they may reach at least that full consensus.
I see. And then there are also experts who expect the impeachment to be overturned.
Right. So they may be looking at more of a practical aspect, less of a constitutional one, at what actually happened on the night of December 3rd to the morning of December 4th.
Yes.
That the martial law forces were on the ground in front of the National Assembly and, of course, inside the National Election Commission building, but that nothing happened really. So they didn't interfere with the lawmakers from overturning or putting a stop to martial law, and no one was hurt or arrested.
Right.
So those who fall in this camp, it includes a professor of 중앙 University Law School, Lee In-ho, who says that the president's defense's arguments, basically that it was a political action, therefore does not involve the court's it doesn't fall upon the court's jurisdiction, might be accepted. And others more in the middle, expecting a deeply divided ruling 4-4 or 5-3.
Okay.
And that's based on the justice's political leniencies.
I see.
And by the way, the last bit of variable which came down yesterday, also from the Constitutional Court, is the ruling that acting President Choi Sang-mok has a legal duty to appoint Ma Eun-hyuk, but they didn't immediately appoint him themselves. So
I see.
if they get an additional justice on the bench, that might lengthen the ruling and deliberation process.
I see. Of course, this is one of the top stories domestically, so we're going to continue to follow this. Let's move on to our next story, though. Medical school admissions, which is apparently more competitive than ever.
Right. So the average competition ratio for additional admissions, so these are the kind of the leftover spots after everybody had submitted their letters. 430 to 1. So for one empty spot, 430 students applied. So 8 medical schools across the country had 11 additional openings for these unfilled spots, and collectively 4,825 applicants submitted their applications.
Yes.
And that was 55% higher than last year. The highest, the very top of the competition ratio, Daegu Catholic University, 766 students applied to one spot.
Wow.
Right. So experts say that this high ratio, even after all the admissions have been kind of worked out, it shows how much of a preference medical school is amongst top natural sciences students.
Yes. And, despite all of this competition, we talked about all the ratios, how that breaks down, how classes will go on, or if they're going to start
will
anyways. Will they? For the new academic year. By the way, that is next Tuesday. That is still unclear. It's up
It
in
is
the air.
unclear because the doctor's walkout has not been settled. So
Indeed.
will the students, they're in, but will they actually come to school?
Right.
So all the more so because the Education Ministry delayed its announcement of its medical school education strengthening measures. So the ministry is currently working with the universities and relevant doctors' associations to provide administrative and financial support.
I see.
But because they're still discussing even the prospect of the students coming back to school and normalizing the academic curriculum, this discussion or this announcement has been delayed. So the Education Ministry said that the announcement will come early March, but that'll be after school starts. And this includes what to do with the students because the freshmen, or at least the first year class,
Yes.
will now include not only the class of 2025, the incoming freshman class, but also the class of 2024
Last year.
because they didn't go to class. By the way, in Korea, we call the classes by the year of admission, not graduation, for our U.S. listeners who might
Right.
be wondering why is 25 an incoming class.
Yes.
So yeah, that's where we stand right now.
Right. So while we're on this topic, though, I want to fact check this particular claim that's been kind of making its rounds online that some international students can basically pick and choose whichever medical school to go to just because they're international students.
From a particular country. So
Yes.
there is a theory or some claims online that Chinese nationals, who we call them Hwagyo, who live in Korea,
Yes.
they have their own affirmative action program, so 특별 전형 program, that basically gives them a leg up in the admissions process. So one YouTube video, and this has been repeated over every time they open forums in colleges.
Yes.
That these Chinese students allegedly get into Seoul National University Medical School, so the top medical school, without taking the CSATs or 수능. But experts say that it's not true.
Yes.
That number one, yes, there are admissions categories for international students and also for Korean nationals who have lived abroad.
Yes.
But for medical school, there's a very clear set quota. This is what the entire doctor's walkout has been about.
Right.
So schools cannot just randomly choose to add more students, even if they're not Korean nationals.
Sure.
Also, for a fact, Education Ministry's data shows that in the last 5 years, 30 out of the 39 medical schools in Korea admitted only 7 international students. And that figures across 5 years, not just 1 year. So this argument, false.
Yes, don't believe all the rumors
No, please
on
don't.
the internet. Well, tomorrow is March 1st. Like I said earlier, yeah, it's definitely the end of February. Well, that's also obviously the Independence Movement Day. That's tomorrow, where we remember and honor the work of all the martyrs and independence fighters.
Right, and it's important to recognize that and really honor them. So we have new individuals added to this list of independence fighters all the way from Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Right.
Okay.
So Changwon National University's museum, they're actually conducting this research over the graves and tombs of early migrants to the United States from South Korea or Korea at that time. That would be from the end of the Joseon dynasty to the occupation period. And during an on-site survey, they found tombs of 5 independence fighters.
Okay.
So these are 홍한식, 서재근, 광명숙, Kim Cha-sun and Ham Ho-hyung, whose works have now been recognized by the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs. And while we knew about their broad strokes of their works,
Yes.
the graves and tombstones, because they have the date of their death or
Right.
life and death, it gives us more detail about the region where they lived, worked, dates of their life and death, providing valuable information.
I see.
So just to highlight a couple individuals, Hong Han-sik was a leader of the Korean independence movement in the United States. Seo used his wealth. So he ran multiple inns in Hawaii and used that money to fund the movement.
Oh, okay.
Kwang Myung-suk was whom we call a photo bride. So basically she went to the U.S. For marriage, but
Yes.
after just seeing a photo of her soon-to-be husband. So she was an active independence fighter based in Hawaii. There are, by the way, about 60 known independence fighters who are known to have worked out of Hawaii.
Yes.
And I also want to point out that the number of survivors from forced labor mobilization, 일제 강제동원, are decreasing rapidly given the time, the advanced age. Currently, 640 people are surviving as of January 1st. 172 of them are over the age of 100.
Yes.
So still the struggle for a proper apology and compensation from Japan or the companies that exploited their labor, the struggle continues.
Yes, very important to commemorate once again and mark this important day in Korean history. So thank you for going over this plus all the news for hour number 1, and we'll be sure to check in with you for Waga in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, back to you, the waivers out there. So we've been talking about, yes, the main topic being which would you rather run or complete a marathon or really buckle down, study, and take the Sunung or SAT. So looking at some of your responses, for example, Clay, the potter, who says, retaking the SAT might be more bearable because completing a marathon will take a toll on my aging body. Well, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are, Clay, because we are all aging as we speak. Tick tock, tick tock. Time is passing right now, so kind of agree with you there. And by the way, Layla, in response to your message, yes, 오늘은 바둑 시스터 맞습니다. So Haley with her hand out, reaching it. Black and white, like we say, we never plan it, but that's just how it is, right? All right. By the way, I also want to know about your best and worst, categories in PE class, right? 이거 뭐라고 하죠? 체력장 is what they call it, like the physical, PE test. So 가장 잘했던 거도 듣고 싶고요. 더 재밌는 건 못했던 거. Like, what were you like really bad at? And it doesn't have to be necessarily like a sit-up category. I am bad at push-ups and pull-ups. 0. Right. So I'll go first. Yeah, 0 for me, definitely. The flexibility thing, not an issue. Like right now, if I were to stand up, I can reach the floor, not just with my, my fingernails, but all the way down to the palms. That's okay. It's all the other stuff, like running, like Haley, just cannot do. Well, here is today's Cat's Pick. It's time for Cat's Pick. This is a tragedy. Gene Hackman. He is a renowned actor. And the thing he and his wife were found dead in their home. But it does seem like a mystery. There's something suspicious about their deaths. And hence there's an investigation pending. Here's a clip from ABC News.
We've just received new information on the deaths of Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife. This comes from a search warrant ABC News has obtained from Santa Fe County Sheriff's detectives. The couple was found yesterday inside their home in New Mexico, but detectives say, judging by the conditions of their bodies, it appears they had been dead for some time. They were found in different rooms. Hackman was found near the kitchen, while his wife, Betsy, a classical pianist, was found in a bathroom. Their dog was also found dead. Investigators say there are no signs of them having been shot or suffered any other type of wounds. The search warrant also indicates there are no signs of a gas or carbon monoxide leak. The investigation comes as we take a look back at Hackman's wide-ranging career.
Hackman was a 2-time Oscar winner, nominated 5 times over a decades-long career.
He never phoned it in. He had that presence that filled up every inch of the screen.
If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be.
From the basketball coach in Hoosiers to Lex Luthor in Superman.
You were great in your day, Superman.
Hackman speaking with GMA from the set of Superman 4.
Have little kids come up to you on the street and say, you're the evil guy, and it's kind of fun.
The legendary actor winning his first Oscar, Best Actor, for his role in The French Connection.
I don't buy that, Irv. The stuff is in that car.
And then another Oscar, Best Supporting Actor, for his role in Unforgiven.
All right, gentlemen. He's got one barrel left.
Gene Hackman had a very much of an everyman quality. He once told me, I talked to him years ago, that for the first 40 years of his life, nobody recognized him because he wasn't famous and he just looked like, your uncle or the butcher down at the grocery store.
Years ago, Hackman was asked by GQ magazine how he'd want to be remembered. As a decent actor, he said, as someone who tried to portray what was given to them in an honest fashion. Hackman was 95. His wife, 64, was a classical pianist. They had lived in New Mexico since the 1980s. They married in 1991.
So as you heard in that clip from ABC News, it doesn't necessarily mean there was foul play, but there's something going on more to the story because they did the gas leak checks. However, there was like a door open. So could the gas have kind of, evaporated since then? We just don't know. Too many questions, but nonetheless, the passing of a legend on screen and of course his wife and their dog as well. Condolences. This was Cat's Pick for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time. Casey's here.
Good morning.
How are you? Oh,
Good.
what was that little head flick?
Did I?
Yeah. You're like,
It's time for my close-up.
oh, dear.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I noticed, so you said
Yes.
you and Haley had the black and white combination
Yes.
going on. I decided to be a mixture of both of you.
Oh, just in between.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Aw,
Yeah,
but
I'm neither here nor
more
there.
on the black side. A little charcoal grayish.
I'm just going to have to agree with you.
Yes, because I'm on the mic.
That's right.
However, hey, before we jump into our stories,
Yeah.
Which would you rather complete? I keep on saying run because who can run a full marathon? Complete a full marathon, 42.195 kilometers
Oh my
versus taking the SAT. Or in your case, no. The 수능 in
marathon.
Korean.
Marathon. SATs. You put any test. Any
Really?
test. I would rather, yeah. You didn't say, I don't have to run the marathon.
You have to complete it.
Sure. Just give
Not
me
in
like
like
a
10 days. But
skateboard. A skateboard on it.
no skateboard.
No roller skates. All right. I could jog, perhaps. 40, how many? 42 kilometers?
Yes. Our
vey.
producer wants to know, Casey, 5km는 뛰어봤어요? Have you ever run beyond 5 kilometers?
I don't think I've run like 5 meters.
No.
Yeah, I hate running.
Oh,
and my knees are kind of like shot, so yeah.
Oh, really? From what?
Everyone out there, start exercising now. if you're listening, start exercising. Just like not taking care of myself.
inactivity.
Yeah, I think so. I'm like
okay,
a sloth at home. Like when I get my food, I'm like. You ever
How
see
do you
those
say
videos?
sloth in Korean? 나무늘보.
Yeah.
That's what you
me, especially in the morning.
Okay, so
Good
that's
luck.
your new nickname.
The sloth? Oh no, that's a
Yeah.
terrible nickname.
And one last question.
Yes.
We're talking about like fitness tests. So like, what were you good at? Were you flexible? Well, obviously not the push-ups.
Yeah, I mean-
not really.
So when you like had to do that test at the gym?
Yeah.
And I was like elementary school.
Elementary school, right?
I was awful at this, that. I was awful at all of it.
Were you good at dodgeball?
Yeah, dodgeball, yes. Dodgeball, yeah, sure.
잘 피했어? You
I'm
were
good at
able to
throwing,
dodge?
yes.
Oh, at throwing.
I was a pitcher on my baseball team, yeah.
You played baseball?
Yeah.
You were a pitcher?
Yeah, and now my shoulder hurts. So everyone out there, if you're listening, start exercising today. Start stretching. My shoulder's like
I
shot.
didn't know you were a baseball player.
Thank you.
We learned something new
I
today.
feel like you were impressed by that.
Yes, I am. We're going to jump into our first story. What's it about? Where's it from?
Okay, so actually this story was, in my opinion, I often do like a search to see what are like trending topics. This seemed to be the biggest international story about South Korea this week.
Yes.
I'm going to go with the Reuters article, but there was, CNN, New York Times, BBC, the usual. The Reuters headline is, South Korea's policy push springs to life as world's lowest birth rate rises.
Spring to life.
Springs to life, yes. The timing
Yes.
too. Yes. So as they say at the top of the article, South Korea's birth rate, the lowest in the world, rose in 2024 for the first time in 9 years as more couples tied the knot after pandemic delays. And this is kind of key to the headline and a little bit how it's different.
Yes.
And as policy efforts to incentivize companies and Koreans to embrace Parenthood start to pay off. So this was reported like earlier in the year, and they have some cool charts included in the article. You can kind of just see what they're talking about. So before, when I saw this story being reported, it had nothing to do with the incentives. It was just like, oh, there's been a change. But now this article is kind of pointing out like reasons why.
Okay.
And you can see it's...
that's South Korea's total fertility rate. If you look at the graph on our YouTube channel, I mean, it goes down.
It's a drop.
I mean,
like when you see it like that, it's like, wow, okay. And you know, the numbers are microscopic and change. It's just like from a range of, what is that, 0.7 to 1.2. But I mean, it looks drastic.
Where did you get this graph?
This is included in the Reuters article.
Okay. Thank you
But it comes from
clarifying.
Statistics Korea.
Right. Yes.
And this is like,
what's
in
this?
comparison to like the world average, or like, as they put it, high income group countries across the world.
So we're in the high income group country.
Right.
The world is the red line on the graph, and then Korea, if you can see, precipitously just way below.
Right.
Just dipping down.
Yeah. But there is like a global decline. Like, you know.
There is.
So it's not just here, but it's especially here. Right.
So, well, we need some evidence. Does Reuters give any evidence of how this is paying off?
You know what? There's a woman named Nam Hyun-jin. She's 35, and she's been featured in many of these articles. I hope she's happy about it, because there's a lot of like videos and pictures included.
Oh, she's everywhere?
She's everywhere.
Okay.
She's like the poster child for this, apparently, in almost every article I saw. She had her second daughter last August.
Yes.
And she said she's personally seen this social shift driven largely by the government's broad and policy support, but also more companies joining the effort. She said, in her opinion, the society as a whole is encouraging childbirth more than 5 years ago when they had their first child.
Yes.
She says, more importantly, it's the company culture of encouraging childbirth that is providing huge help. She gives her own story about this. Her employer from last year started giving out 100 million won to employees for childbirth bonuses.
Whoa.
That's like $70,000.
So 1억 won?
Yeah.
No.
Is that right? 100 million. I'm so bad with that. $70,000.
It sounds about right, yes.
Okay. You're good. I trust you.
Yes.
So they say also the shift in societal norms, this is Reuters analyzing this, this could prove pivotal in a country that over the past decade, as we saw in that graph, has seen its birth rate plummet to the lowest in the world because women are prioritizing career advancement over marriage or parenthood because the rising cost of housing and the rising cost of raising children.
That's right. So does this mean that this trend could continue, though?
Well, they say the rise mostly reflected an increase from pandemic-disrupted marriages, and that's what I read before in previous articles.
Right.
But other numbers, however, suggest it could be more than just a COVID blip, as they put it, and that, in fact, government policies are having an effect. Where's the evidence? Quarterly data showing the number of second newborns, not firsts.
But second.
Right. Like Nam Hyun-jin's jumped 12% in the second half of 2024 versus an 11% rise in firstborns. So the second, it's the second children that are suddenly like, people are choosing to have a second.
Right.
Which, personally, the people I know mostly seem to have just one child. I wonder if that's going to change. I'm going to be asking people, hey, any plans coming up? I don't know.
Any plans for you, Casey?
I got 2. I'm good.
Oh, you're good?
Yeah, 3? No. I see you over there. I see you with your 3.
We were planning on 5, so we're
For real?
For real.
You were planning on 5.
That's when I was like in my 20s and stupid. So,
well,
I love 3. To me, is a perfect number. I consider
like
it like
that number too.
A tripod,
right.
stable.
It's the most stable.
It's the most stable thing. Yeah, tripod
geometrical,
is good.
Right?
And so, anybody else chiming in? Any experts with additional information about policies? And what we can do to continue this momentum?
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. How to keep it continuing. So there's actually some worries whether that can continue or not. There's a lot of quotes in the article. I'll go with this one. Reuters said they interviewed a lot of people, including policymakers, industry experts, economists, and importantly, Korean mothers. Because they're the ones making the decisions, right? So you should know their opinions.
Yes.
Right?
I mean,
people seem to forget that.
But the moms.
That's right.
There's a big say. Yes.
Right. So all of them kind of collectively have credited the government's policy support in 3 areas of including work-family balance, child care, and I'm jealous suddenly, and housing.
Sorry.
Thank you.
That's too loud. Sorry.
And also a campaign to encourage business to incentivize employees on parenthood. So if you notice, there's something they keep focusing on the article here. Like the government basically, the point of this article is the government has done what it can do.
Yes.
They spent a lot of money. They've got policies that they're pushing. And now it's kind of up to the private sector, companies to kind of also continue this. So, they quote people, an economist at Morgan Stanley, for example. She said, Korea faces some of the world's most challenging demographics. The government didn't overstate the case when it declared a national demographic emergency in June.
Yes.
The good news is that the sense of urgency appears real. Authorities are moving towards structural reforms and away from short-term fixes.
I see.
So, yeah, we'll see. This might continue.
Fingers crossed.
A lot of people have their fingers crossed for this.
For real. I mean,
Yeah.
yes.
I would say the country at large has their fingers crossed for this.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
It's a major issue. So,
Yeah.
all right. I want to move on to our next story. Is that okay?
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. Let's do this. Are you a
Yes.
fan of fine dining?
I am.
Are you?
Not really.
Oh, okay. Have you?
In theory, I am.
Me too.
In theory, I really am. I'm there.
Right.
I'm so there.
Right.
And I love looking at really just the beautiful photos of
Oh, are you talking Insta? Is that what you're talking about?
just anywhere. It's just like I'm a foodie, but then
Okay.
when you have a tripod,
Right.
you can't afford the fine dining.
I'm saying, okay,
Right?
right. I'm with you.
I'm just saying,
When I see those
Yeah.
pictures, or even if I see like a menu list that's impressive, I'm like, oh man, yeah, I want to. Oh, I can't. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Right.
But it is interesting from afar.
Oh, definitely.
So the headline from Bloomberg this week was South Korea's Mingles wins coveted Michelin 3-star rating. So a South Korean restaurant won this prestigious rating yesterday.
Ooh.
And they say it's a boon to the nation's fast-growing fine dining industry. And I have a picture of, there it is. I always forget it's like the tire guy. Because it sounds so fancy.
I know.
Right? It's Michelin. And then when I think about tires, it's
In
like...
America, it's just Michelin.
No. Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So Americanized.
Right.
And then the thing is, when I read the title of your story,
Yeah.
I only read the first 3 words. I wanted to get to it. And I was like, oh, is this about singles mingling? But it's the name.
No.
I just realized.
Right. It's a restaurant
Why are
name.
you talking about fine dining? Are they dating there? No.
You know what? I bet you probably a lot of people are going there for dates.
I'm sure.
I was in the Junpo area with some friends Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
And there's
There
a
were
lot of dating going. Yeah, it's like, I felt like, should I be on a date right now?
Really?
I had to call my wife, like, listen, I'm not on a date. It was like
Casey
mostly.
just showed his age. His phone. He went like this. 이렇게 해야죠.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, come on now.
Signifiers. Cool. I just signified my age.
Yeah.
Well, at least I didn't do like the turning of
the rotary.
Right. Yes. Suddenly old. Okay.
So we're talking about.
So, this is a big day
dining, yes.
for Korea because not just for this one particular restaurant, but on Thursday, this was a ceremony to unveil the Michelin Seoul and Busan Guide 2025. Lest we forget, Busan is part of the guide.
I know. Yes.
Right?
I'm happy about this.
Me too. And from afar.
You and I both.
The day you decide to go, let me know. Maybe
Okay.
Maybe we'll
We'll do a double date.
Right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Without the tripod and your 2 kids. Right.
That's right. So basically, also part of the big news, there was Seoul restaurants that have been upgraded. But the interesting thing is there were 3 3-star restaurants at one point, but 2 of them have closed. So there's only 1 3-star restaurant now that you can actually go to. Another one I think is going to reopen. They're changing location.
Yes.
But I was curious. I think I know the answer now. Have you ever been to a 3-star rated restaurant? I know I haven't.
I've actually in the States. I don't know. Were they Michelin rated? I've been to I've actually seen Wolfgang Puck.
The guy?
Was at
the person?
chef. Yeah. So I went to one of his restaurants. So I don't know if it's rated, but back in the day, yeah.
What's a famous name? I'll take it as a maybe.
Probably. I'm sure one of his restaurants, of his many
we would hope
restaurants.
so.
We hope
with
that
all
he
the
has a
name
star.
recognition he's got, right? That would be
Yes.
embarrassing for him.
Right.
I'm not calling him out there.
Right.
But basically, the restaurant that won the 3-star rating this year had its 10th anniversary last year, so they've been around for a bit. They're in Gangnam, and the chef, his name is Mingu Kang. They say he has helped reinvent Korea's fine dining scene. That's nice recognition, right?
Yes.
I'm assuming this is a typo, though. This is in the article.
What did it say?
Kang uses Korea's traditional fermented mother sauce and vinegar for his popular cuisines. What is
mother sauce?
Thank you.
어머니의 소스는 아닌 것 같고.
What does that mean?
What
Like
is
a home
mother
recipe?
sauce?
Like, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, you've never heard this before either,
We're
right?
out of time already.
All right, read the article. It's got a full list of all the places in Seoul and Busan that are rated.
Right.
So
and by
me
the way,
you will look.
waivers.
Yeah.
Have you been to like any of the rated like 3 stars? Curious as well.
Have you ever had
Let us
mother
know.
sauce?
Mother sauce. What is mother sauce?
I don't know.
We'll find out when we read the article. Thank you, Casey. Oh. Doing his aja gag. Oh, this is Immortals by Fall Out Boy, not Fall Pout Boy,
What is
as
this
my producer.
gags going on here?
See you at it.
부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로, 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. It's time for news highlights. Constitutional Court rules justice appointment delay unconstitutional. The Constitutional Court ruled yesterday that acting President Choi Sang-mok's decision to withhold the appointment of a court justice last year is an unconstitutional act infringing upon the right of the National Assembly. The court unanimously dismissed a request to confirm the appointment of the justice, saying there were no grounds to make such a decision. Under the decision, Choi will be legally obligated to appoint Ma, but the court's dismissal indicates that it has no authority to enforce Choi to proceed with the appointment. Choi said that he respects the court's decision. National Assembly passes special counsel bill on Yoon's alleged election interference. The opposition-controlled National Assembly passed a special counsel bill yesterday to investigate allegations against impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol's influence peddling scandal linked to the parliamentary by-elections in 2022. The allegations center on Myung Tae-yoon, a self-proclaimed power broker who allegedly took approximately 76 million won from former ruling party lawmaker Representative Kim Young-sun in exchange for his help in getting her nominated for the parliamentary by-elections. The bill passed the plenary session in a 182-91 vote with one abstention, as the People Power Party decided to reject the bill as a party stance. North Korea seems to have deployed additional troops to Russia. North Korea appears to have deployed additional troops to support Russia's war against Ukraine, although the number of recently deployed troops is being assessed, South Korea's spy agency said yesterday. The National Intelligence Service, NIS, told the press that North Korean troops were placed back in the frontline region of Kursk, starting in the first week of February following a month-long lull. The assessment follows a news report that between 1,000 and 3,000 North Korean troops were newly transported to Kursk via Russian cargo ships and military airplanes between January and February in the second round of such troop deployment. South Korea to push for stronger punishment on animal abuse. The South Korean government plans to strengthen punishment and preventative measures for animal abuse over the next 5 years as part of efforts to improve animal welfare. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs unveiled a 5-year plan which would bolster punishment for animal abusers and devise stricter sentencing guidelines for animal cruelty crimes. The ministry is also considering increasing the fine for animal abandonment to 5 million won, aiming to reduce violations against the Animal Protection Act and the number of abandoned animals by half by 2029. Trump says U.S. will impose additional 10% tariff on China. U.S. President Donald Trump said Thursday local time that proposed tariffs on Canada and Mexico will go into effect next Tuesday, while he will impose an additional 10% tariff on goods from China on that day. Trump claims that drugs, including fentanyl, are still pouring into the United States from Mexico and Canada at very high and unacceptable levels, with a large percentage of these drugs made in and supplied by China. He also reaffirmed April 2nd as a date for reciprocal tariffs, which he seeks to impose on U.S. imports to match what other trading partners slap on American goods. This was News Highlights. Yes, it's the Paduk sisters for wa글와글 checking in with
By
you
the way,
all.
I almost wore like my version of that sweater because I have a cardigan that has we have really similar clothes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes, TJ.
I almost wore that.
So, we got to jump in.
Yeah, we do.
I know we always have much to talk about. We got to jump into our first story. Earlier, there was a rare gun-related death in South Korea when a suspect attacked a police officer in Gwangju. We covered this, right?
We did. So let's get more into it. So in case you missed it, on Wednesday, a call came into Gwangju's Dongbu police station that a man was following and threatening 2 women, and they were literally running away from him. So the suspect was a 51-year-old man. He took out a knife when the police got to the scene and stabbed the police officer twice.
Yes.
The officer used a firearm, a gun, and fired blank shots into the air and at him, but there was an altercation. It got physical, and a live bullet was fired, hitting the suspect. So he was taken to the hospital, however, pronounced dead soon after. The police officer also sustained serious injuries from stabbing to his neck and face and had to go through emergency surgery.
Right, and such a tragic incident. And while gun-related violence rarely happens here in South Korea, police officers are still exposed to these risky situations.
Right. So just last year, a suspect wielded a knife against a different police officer, and this was also in Gwangju, and the police officers had to use their gun to apprehend the suspect.
Yes.
And in that process, however, 3 officers were badly hurt as well. They're all okay now.
Yes.
So time and time again, the police agency, when this happens, they promise to boost safety for officers. And the chief of police also directed officers last year to use physical means, including firearms, if necessary in cases of violence against the police.
Yes.
However, officers say that what happens after, including the paperwork, all the stern disciplinary action, having their actions go through a microscope, and sometimes they have to take personal responsibility against any lawsuits. It makes them act passively.
Yes.
Of course, we want to advocate against any form of police brutality, and there's a fine line that shouldn't be crossed. But if the police are not allowed to just systematically, institutionally use the force that is given to them, this does threaten public safety.
Yes.
And by the way, of course, we have tasers before you pull out a gun. But in the wintertime, when the clothes are very thick, and especially with the long paddings, they're actually completely useless.
And hence, I know some of our listeners were mentioning that between like Souvenir and whatnot, with all the taser guns out there. And thank you for asking those questions.
Yes.
So now we're going to go to Jeju for another criminal story involving stolen urns. URN. So can you explain what an urn
Yes,
is?
so urn it's kind of like a jar, but when we say urn, we specifically mean those used to contain the cremated remains of a dead person.
A person
so
who's passed, yes.
유골함 is
Yes.
the Korean term.
Urn.
So it has the ashes. So on February 24th, around 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 Chinese nationals stole 6 urns carrying ashes of 6 different people from a Buddhist temple in Jeju. And they allegedly hid these urns in a mountain about 5 kilometers away. And then they left the country, fleeing to Hong Kong, then to Cambodia.
So, big question. I mean, this is terrible, but the big question is why?
It's very bizarre at the same
Right.
time. Like, are they related? They're not. So they seem to have been for ransom, for
You're kidding me,
to get
right?
money. Right. So they later on they texted the temple with a video of showing the urns and said, if you want these back, give us $2 million. So that would be about 2.9 billion won. So yeah. So they entered the island of Jeju without a visa because Jeju has a visa-free program. And they came there a week before and apparently staked the temple to kind of prepare for this alleged crime. So the police mobilized 40 officers, combed through the mountains, and found the 6 urns, which incredible work on their part. Very, very, Sherlock Holmes, very
Good of you.
detective work from the clues from the video. But at the same time, we are talking about 40 officers in the cold having to comb through a mountain. Is that the best use of the police resources? Which, of course, that was their job. But my goodness. So they immediately gave the urns back to the families. As for the suspects, so what kind of laws did they break? Theft, obviously. But by the way, and this, I don't know if it's just me, but of course, ashes are the remains of a person. So that is the same thing as stealing a dead body.
To me, it is,
Right.
especially if it's your family.
It's not just you legally.
Right.
Like in the law, they
Okay.
are
Sorry.
right. So
I was just
the
like
law says
upset.
right.
Yes.
Right. They are now being charged with stolen possession of a dead body. But because they are outside the country, the police are working with Interpol. Yeah. So will they be brought to justice? Let's hope so. Because they're someone's loved ones.
People are asking,
Yeah.
why?
It's a great question.
Yes.
Money.
Always in these cases. Well, let's move on. Here's an interesting survey. I'm laughing before I ask the question. 자, 잘 들으세요. What constitutes cheating? So cheating meaning
바람,
외도, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, fancy.
I'm
Look at
learning
you,
Korean.
fancy.
Right, 외도.
Right. So
Yes.
my producer and I had a debate. I was like, what's worse, physical cheating or emotional cheating?
Oh gosh, the emotional. Oh, sorry.
Is it really? Okay, so
The
single,
physical-
famously single.
The physical
but,
is bad enough.
Right.
But if it's like, I don't know.
But what constitutes emotional cheating as well? That's my question. And that is actually the question that the New York Post surveyed. They had
Okay.
a survey on bedroom boundaries, on cheating or affairs for couples. So let's move beyond. The physical aspects are very clear, and we're a family show. I don't want to,
Physical is bad. Let's just leave it at that.
All cheating is
Yes,
bad.
all
But,
cheating is
right.
bad.
So they surveyed 2,000 adults. Waivers, I want to get your input. And
Okay.
should we bring the OX paddles back?
Oh,
should I
can
run
we?
out and grab it? Do you want
I
to play a
know.
song?
Okay,
I can
okay.
run back. Anyways, so harmless flirting.
How would you say that in Korean?
So like, 의미 없는 플러팅.
요즘에 플러팅도 그냥
Like,
flirting.
flirting. Flirting is flirting.
But what is flirting though?
That's a great question.
Like, what if there's like physical touching?
Oh,
not like that. Not
but
like that.
like
but
stroking the arm, like you're too far away. But yeah, stroking the arm. But like, what if I'm like flipping my hair? I'm like,
and batting my eyelashes and like,
왜요? 즐거우세요?
like women, it's a hair thing.
It's
It
a hair
is.
thing.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
the whole.
Well, yeah.
못 보겠다뇨. 왜 그러세요? And what else?
Oh no, and then so just the giggles. And then it's the eyes, like eye contact and laughing at really not funny jokes.
What about the eye contact? Like, how do you decipher if it's like I'm just looking at you or I'm looking at you like how do you
Well,
my question is, how do you determine what is,
I mean, if you know, you know. But then you've also, I mean, I don't know, have you ever had, you're just being nice and social because I was raised to be a nice and social person.
And they took it as flirting.
And I'm like, oh, no, sir, no.
Right. I've had that happen.
Right. So harmless flirting.
Yes.
Is it cheating? Show of hands. Is it cheating? 1, 2, 3? No one. All right. Well, interestingly, 51% of respondents thought harmless flirting was cheating. What about, talking to your ex? dun, dun, dun.
X랑 대화나
전 여친,
문자.
전 남친과 대화. 아직도 대화를 한다.
Tommy, first of all, he's calling us not the Baduk sisters, Badugi sisters.
I think
Are
it's
you calling
because
me a
we're
dog?
cute like puppies. That's how I'm taking it.
Don't be calling me a dog.
No, 이게 다 내가 귀엽기 때문에. Anyways. So, yeah. I mean, talking to your ex. 1, 2, 3. Is it cheating?
I don't know if it's cheating, but it's inappropriate.
Right. You wouldn't.
Right.
People wouldn't like it. So 60%
said
thought of
yes?
it as it's cheating. It's a form of cheating. Ooh, what about this? I know friends who have gotten into a deep trouble having photos of you and your ex or of your ex. Yeah.
전
남친 여친?
사진 가지고 있다. 간직하고. In a secret folder.
I mean, but, okay.
On your phone.
Well, it could just be you forgot to delete it because your photo
You
library
do not
is-
forget to delete it. That is a lie.
That
is a lie.
Oh my God.
Okay,
fine.
In
Well,
this day and age, if a photo fell out of like an old book, like you see in the movies, okay. Like a printed photo. Who has
Right.
printed photos, right? But if
That's
it's
true.
on your phone, come on, that is.
Okay, well,
what else?
49% thought of this as cheating.
Okay.
Ooh, what about this? Exchanging text messages with your ex or DMs. I'm hearing like gasps all around.
전 남친 여친이랑 문자 주고받기.
Or SNS messages. Well, 62% said yes, that is cheating. So, and then also comments were split because we do live in this age of digitalization and phones. Do you let your spouse or partner read or get into your phone? Do you guys share, the password, or is your spouse's fingerprint also in your system? Do you let them go through your social media?
I don't know. See, this is my personal opinion, though. My personal opinion, this is just for me and my significant other. For my roommate, it's like we don't touch each other's phones. If I have to check something, I always say, hey, I need to look at a message because I need to pay that credit card bill.
Right.
And I always only check that. I never go through anything because he's never given me reason.
I think that's
to doubt
important.
him.
Right.
And vice versa. And like if he went through my messages, I would be so annoyed at him. He would be like 진짜 바둑이 in the doghouse. Like because you're invading my privacy, even though we're married.
Right. Yeah.
That's a no-no.
That's how I feel. But other people who say they do let their spouse or partner or they go into their phones, they also say it's a matter of trust.
But
like,
why?
If you don't have anything to hide, then why won't you let me?
On the flip side, like, really? You want to go take a deep dive? I don't know. I think my private thoughts and my messages are private.
I'm single. I'm just going to play that card again once again. But here's what's really interesting. And we had an interview earlier this week, was it last week, about AI and dating.
Yes.
Some people do use AI not only as a tool for dating, but as a subject of their affections. So with virtual reality dates, avatars having relations with AI chatbots, romantic encounters, what counts as cheating in this modern age?
I don't know. This is like the hottest topic. People are saying, X는 cheating 맞죠? Like, people have opinions.
They have opinions, yeah. Fight.
I wish we had more time.
Me too.
Like, 1시간만 그거 해도 재밌겠네요. Finally, pretty much all of us did those like fitness tests like we talked about in school, and sit-ups were a staple in these tests. But is this true? They may actually do more harm than good. So what is sit-up in Korean?
윗몸 일으키기. Right. Have you ever had this? You do a lot of sit-ups because, I don't know, you want abs.
Right.
And then your back hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not.
Isn't that common?
No,
thing?
it's not supposed to. Well, it's common, but it's not supposed to.
Okay.
So for sports majors or physical education majors, when they're trying to get into university,
Yes.
you do a physical fitness exam. And this is for, firefighters, police, the military. A major part, sit-ups. Usually it's how many you can do in the span of a minute.
Yes.
For higher the score, For 국민 University, for the top category, for 1 minute, if you want to get 1등급, the top score, 77 sit-ups per minute for men, 73 for women.
Okay.
Lowest level, 73 for men, 69 for women. So sit-ups, by the way, they've been a staple in our fitness exams as well. But the problem is bad form. Or when you focus on speed and repetition,
Like this?
your form, your form gets worse because you're supposed to do it slowly, focusing on your abdominal muscles.
And we have visuals.
We do have visuals. So sit-ups can be bad for your back, spine, even people with their discs being ruptured because of this. So for students, and we're talking about teens, late teens, in their early 20s, in their prime physique, so they're obviously going to Tede, but even they have back pain from these sit-ups. But schools, however, are reluctant to change this because, quote unquote, it's hard to change the system.
So I want to ask our waivers out there, male, female, all our listeners, like how many sit-ups can you do? Because I know that's a lot of our waivers. They've been sharing that they're very active.
I mean, some
healthy.
of them will run the marathon, they say.
Right. So I'm curious as to how many you can do.
Right, me too. So changes are happening, by the way. The National Police Agency currently looking into eliminating sit-ups as a part of their physical exam.
Okay. Well, what do experts say about this?
It differs. So some rehabilitation medicine doctors say that sit-ups force your back into a curve, so that's really bad for your disc. However, some sports education professors say that only happens when you have bad form.
Okay.
But realistically, for you to have good form, you need to have strong ab muscles to begin with.
That's
for
true.
you to be able to hold that form.
Right.
So if you have a weaker core, then maybe don't do sit-ups because that could be bad. Yeah.
Very interesting. Now we know.
Now we
Thank
know.
you for all the woggly news. And of course, the fun one about, we need more of that. It's wagu, but it's news.
It is,
Yes.
it is.
So we'll check in with you on Monday. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great weekend.
All right, now it's time for your updated traffic and weather. There is some heavy congestion in Cheonma Tunnel going towards Eulsuk-do Bridge right now. It's also backed up on Jungangdaero from Songgong Thruway intersection to Seomyeon intersection. And there's traffic buildup on Pansonglo from Kumsa intersection to Seokdae intersection. Currently, it's a nice 8 degrees Celsius. Definitely warmer than yesterday. It's expected to go up to 16 degrees. There is a dry weather special alert in Busan and some fine dust levels in parts of the city as well. Looking ahead to the weekend, yay, tomorrow. An expected low of 6, a high of 14, and on Sunday, even warmer. A low of 11 and a high of 16. However, rains are coming starting tomorrow afternoon into Sunday as well. So prepare for your weekend. This was your traffic and weather. And here is 달리기 by 옥상 달빛 as requested by Benny.
지겨운가요? 힘든가요? 숨이 턱까지 찼나요? 할 수 없죠. 어차피 시작해버린 것을 So
Welcome back, everybody. Looking at some of your responses for a text topic, let's see. I asked you the whole thing about running a marathon or what was it? Taking the SAT or CSAT. 표정 관리가 안 돼. 너무 힘드네요. Stuff I hear online, and then right when the camera turns on, I'm expected to be like perfect and like, newsworthy and all that. So looking at your messages, it seems, Leslie says, sit and reach, short torso and longer arms have the advantage, the stretching and leaning over and seeing how flexible you are. So that, some people actually would rather take the 수능. 이름 waiver says 차라리 수능을 다시 칠 것 같아요. 선택 과목해서 사탐 선택하고 원하는 과를 다시 갈까? 안 그래도 딸이랑 얼마 전에 이런 얘기 했는데 가능성이 있어 보인다고 그랬거든요. 그리고 체력장은 윗몸 일으키기 오래 매달리기 이런 거 다 1등급이었습니다. So they say they would rather retake the 수능 over that marathon, and also they were very good at sit-ups and how do we say 오래 매달리기? Like holding on to the bar like for dear life. Like how long could you last on that bar? Not an actual pull-up. Not the pull-up, but just dangling there is, I guess, the best way to say it. They got top scores for that. And we have some people saying they can't even do one pull-up. I can't either. Benny says, my PE at the time, practicing basketball. And then in university days, badminton. Oh, yes. Korea as well. Badminton, very, very popular. It's a popular indoor sport as well. Souvenir says 저는 마라톤이요. 체력장 가장 잘하는 건 오래 달리기 못하는 건 유연성. 오래 달리기 잘하는 법 조금 엽사하지만 1등인 친구 뒤에 바짝 붙어서 가다가 결승점에서 앞지르면 돼요. 좀 그렇다. 자전거 타는 사람들 영어로 피 빤다고 하죠. I can say that, I hope. So they prefer the marathon in terms of the fitness, to run like behind your friend that's really good at running, and at the last, like the pacemaker, right? And then at the last moment to pass your friend, to beat your friend. But very funny. Thank you for all your comments. But for now, we're going to get to our special interview. It's time for a special interview as we mark the 3rd anniversary of this Russia-Ukraine war, and the conflict continues to reshape global politics and security. Recent diplomatic efforts, including U.S.-led negotiations and European peacekeeping proposals, aim to find a resolution. However, challenges persist, such as strained U.S.-Ukraine relations as of late and debates over security guarantees. With no clear end in sight, the world is still closely watching how this will evolve. Will peace be attained is the big question. Let's find out. We have joining us today Dr. Andrea Chandler, who is a professor of political science at Carleton University. Hi, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. I hope to visit your beautiful country one day.
Oh, well, we welcome you with open arms. So, yes, please come visit us. So, looking back on the past 3 years, Professor, how has this Russia-Ukraine conflict, this war, evolved, and what do you think have been the most impactful, significant points of this war?
Well, I think we should remember that the conflict began in 2014 with Russia's annexation of Crimea and the outbreak of conflict in the easternmost regions of Ukraine. So it's 3 years since Russia launched a full-scale invasion, which included an attempt to reach the capital of Kiev, which is in the center of the country. And since then, the war has led to tremendous loss of life, including allegations that the Russian side in particular has committed severe human rights violations and war crimes. And it will take Ukraine many years to recover from damage to infrastructure and the environmental impacts that the conflict has had. For me, what is remarkable about the conflict is that despite the intensity of the fighting, that the Russian side has made few gains so far in 3 years. Much of the fighting takes place within essentially the same territory of the easternmost parts of Ukraine. And the resolve of the Ukrainian armed forces, given their relative size and population of the country compared to Russia, is quite remarkable. So Ukraine now also occupies part of the territory of the Kursk region within Russia, but nevertheless, the war has been very costly for both sides.
Indeed. It's such a tragic war, and I can't believe it has been 3 years, as many of our waivers are chiming in right now. So recently, U.S.-led negotiations really seeking to end the conflict, it seems. How effective do you think those efforts have been thus far, and what major challenges are ahead?
It's not clear yet how effective these talks have been. I hesitate to call them negotiations because they have not as yet included both Russia and Ukraine at the same table. And so, and also no joint communiques have been issued about the status of talks. And normally when talks are going well, the two sides, or the however many sides exist, are able to issue some sort of joint statement that they sign on to, where they're in agreement about what they've discussed and what where there's consensus, even if it's only at a preliminary stage. I think it's noteworthy that Russia and the U.S. have given differing statements about their view of the talks, the same for Ukraine and the U.S. It seems like the U.S. is trying to pursue bilateral talks between itself and Russia and between itself and Ukraine as a way to achieve an end to the war. But I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. Is the U.S. trying to act as a mediator between the two sides? Well, that seems doubtful, since mediators are expected to be neutral. And President Trump has already indicated that there's a bias against Ukraine because he's been putting out inaccurate statements about who started the war. So does that mean the U.S. intends to impose an end to the war by dictating the terms? If so, it's hard to see how that could benefit Ukraine, because Trump has not so far shown signs that he's willing to press Russia hard to withdraw its troops from Ukrainian soil.
Yes. And so, as you say, no direct negotiations, not right now, but even with Europe's in the fray as well, and European leaders, they have proposed a peacekeeping force to support Ukraine. So, possibly, what role could this play in achieving a tenuous or lasting peace in that region?
I think that if European countries play a more active and independent role in securing the peace in Ukraine, that is a good thing. Ukraine, after all, is in the center of Europe. I hope European leaders will remember Canada. I'm Canadian. Canada is a founding member of NATO. Canada has a long history of an active role in peacekeeping around the world. And so there's a role, I hope, for us as well.
Yes.
The question, I think, is whether peacekeepers are the right tool in the toolbox for this situation. It seems a bit early to be talking about peacekeepers. The first challenge is where they would be deployed, presumably as on some sort of demarcation line between Russia and Ukraine. But if that's the case, then there would need to be some kind of agreement first over the contested territory of eastern Ukraine, which is part of Ukraine's sovereign territory, but which is occupied by Russia. The second challenge is to ensure that peacekeepers' presence is respected in their responsibilities in the territory that's their mandate, and that peacekeepers themselves will be as safe as possible in what would be a very, very tense environment.
Yes. And if we turn our attention now, Professor, to the relationship between U.S. and the U.S. and Ukraine, Definitely different, the tenor of the relationship ever since Donald Trump came back into the Oval Office. And so it does seem that, looking at the headlines and the news, that the two sides have recently agreed on this minerals deal without security guarantees. Is that correct, first of all? And if you can expand on this.
Actually, I'm not really sure what they've agreed to yet. There's been reporting, but it's been very confusing. The whole past week and a half on this file has been very confusing insofar as each of the sides has presented their own interpretation of what has happened.
Right.
So until an agreement has been signed and made clear in a transparent way to the public, I would be inclined to hold off on judging its significance. I think it's important to remember that in diplomacy, there's a reason why parties who agree on things issue joint statements, and when they sign a formal treaty, they do so in public, side by side. And these are customs, but the customs ensure that everybody knows exactly what the agreement is.
Right.
And they are seen to have committed to uphold it. So I think that President Zelensky has been very determined to do what he needs to do to maintain his country's independence from Russia, but whether that occurs at the price of becoming more dependent on the United States is the question that remains to be seen.
Yes.
And when we're talking about the extraction of minerals, much depends on what those minerals are used for. If they're going to be used for peaceful and environmentally sound purposes, that's one thing. But if mining contributes to Ukraine's existing environmental crises, it may simply add to the country's problems.
Yes, yes. And looking ahead, though, what developments should the international community monitor to assess at least the prospects for peace? Because it does seem, there's each party far apart, at least to the rest of us. We don't know what's happening behind closed doors, but we don't see anything concrete, not quite yet. So what do you think needs to happen before we get to more of those concrete steps?
First of all, I think all interested parties need to show good faith to demonstrate that they genuinely want the fighting to end and that they will prioritize that goal over the desire to accumulate trophies and to be hailed as great leaders. And they need to be flexible on what the final result might look like. And I'm not sure that has been seen thus far from the Russian side in particular. Second, I think it's important to recognize that war is going to continue unless serious work happens to bring it to an end. And I'm sure your listeners are better equipped than anyone to understand that there needs to be concrete actions to end hostilities. Troops need to be moved and disarmed. Areas need to be demarcated where special security measures are needed. There needs to be discussion about releasing prisoners of war, finding homes for displaced people.
That's right.
So it's not enough to say we'll make a deal and that's it. The agreement needs to be about what's going to happen moving forward and what concrete steps need to be taken and who's going to do it. And I think finally the international community can continue to follow processes of international justice that are unfolding within global institutions. So those include a case that Ukraine has brought to the International Court of Justice and an effort by the European Commission to hold Russia accountable for alleged crimes of aggression.
Yes, yes.
So these judicial processes can be part of reaching peace, but they can also be kind of challenging if these judicial actions are being taken against people who are still in power and who still have their existing leaders and their existing boundaries.
Well, of course, we're all hoping for peace in that region, but who knows when that might happen. But in the meantime, thank you so much for explaining thus far what's been happening in the conflict there in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Thanks for joining us today, Professor. Take care.
My great pleasure.
Once again, this was Professor Andrea Chandler, and we talked about this war 3 years on. And yes, as you even heard in news highlights, it seems it is continuing. North Korean troops reportedly, more of them being sent to the front line as well. So we will see what happens as we continue to follow this story. We're going to take a song break right now. This is Blowing in the Wind by Bob Dylan.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? Yes, and how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Yes, and how many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? Yes, and how many ears must one man have before he can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
We have Vasana in the house. For What in the World? Happy Friday.
TGIFF.
I got a message from somebody named Vasana. I don't know if it's the same Vasana.
Who that?
Who said, flirting is harmless. However, this person sent an emoticon of a little devil. So you believe flirting is harmless?
I'm pleading the fifth.
Oh, is she listening?
Yeah, she's definitely aware.
Oh,
yeah.
No. But the whole flirting thing, there is like a fine line of just being friendly.
It's wordplay. For me, it's wordplay.
Wordplay.
Yeah. As long as there's no physical things. I mean, you know when somebody likes you.
Oh, yeah. You can sense it.
You can definitely sense it.
Unless you're as dull as a doorknob. But sometimes, you're like, really? I thought we were just, conversing, but
Nice alliteration there. Dull as a doorknob.
yes. Well, it's dumb as a doorknob, but I was trying to be nice. Let's get into some of our stories for What in the World.
Okay. Today's first story is a jackpot of irony. A lottery jackpot of irony, a lottery of lunacy.
Oh my gosh, I love
a scratch-off scandal. And straight from France.
Oh, from France.
The
what
land
happened?
of fine wine, fine cheese. Okay, so these criminals in this beautiful city of Toulouse, and I looked it up, and it's called the Space City or the Pink City. The Space City because there's a big space center there in Toulouse. So they stole a credit card, and with that stolen credit card,
what did they do?
They bought a scratch-off ticket. Well, one of those lottery tickets.
You can buy lottery scratch-offs with your credit card.
Apparently in Europe you can.
You can? Okay.
In Korea, I don't think you can. Everything has
I've
to be
never
cash.
tried, so I don't know.
But against all odds, this lottery ticket or this scratch-off won 500,000 euros.
How much is that?
It's about $523,000 US dollars as of 3 days ago. It
So
might be
it's
more
like
now.
a little, that's over 6억 won. That's almost,
Yep. It's a lot of money.
That's a lot, yeah.
So here's the twist. Before they could claim their golden ticket, they disappeared into thin air. So in order, obviously, to claim the ticket, they have to come in and present themselves with the
Obviously,
ticket.
yes.
So the guy whose card they stole, Jean-David E., we'll just call his surname E, he's proving to be very, very generous. His pitch, come forward, return my wallet, return everything, and I will share the winnings with you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So he's saying, you risk nothing, we will share with you, you can change your lives. Because I'm sure just stealing a credit card.
It
wouldn't be too much of a sentence if it's their first time.
I don't know, but still, you would be a felon.
Definitely a felon.
Yeah, you would go to prison.
Yeah, but 250,000 euros richer. That's a lot. That's life-changing money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, what would you do?
Well, first, I would never steal.
No. If you were
the guy who lost the wallet.
If you were someone who had lost the wallet, would you offer them half?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
So if I were the owner of the wallet, but I knew that the person who had stolen my credit card swiped and won the lottery,
yes,
what would I do?
Yeah.
I would sue for all of it. That's what I would do. That's my credit card that you use.
But you're not going to get any of that back. You're not going to get the lovely wallet. What would I do?
Yeah, as a wallet owner.
I've had a whole week to think about this.
Yes.
And I would do the same as this guy.
Okay.
250,000 for me is still life-changing.
It's life-changing for many people, yes.
So I could buy an apartment for my son.
Aww. For your son, who's only how old now?
12. No, for his future,
that's
of course.
so sweet. Aww.
Okay. But anyway, let's move on.
Yes.
Let's take there is absolutely no way I can link this story to the last one.
Let's try. What is it?
No.
There's no way? Okay.
No, this is about the Yankees. Okay?
The New York Yankees?
The New York Yankees. So this week, I'm not sure whether Murph talked about it earlier in the week, but they have gotten rid of their clean face policy.
What is this?
Yeah, so a lot of people...
Andrew, sports guy, you didn't give me this story.
Yes. Yeah, he's a Boston Red Sox fan, so I don't really want to talk to him.
Okay. You should have seen him on Tuesday. It was so ridiculous. He came in like the full Canadian regalia, like everything red, everything maple and maple syrup.
I thought he'd be a Toronto Blue Jays through and through, but he's a Boston Red Sox fan. I was like, what?
Anyhow. Yeah, not a true Canadian. Yes.
So... the New York Yankees, since the 1970s, mid-1970s, they made it official, or rather compulsory, that they must have short-cut hair and a clean face, shaven. So so anybody who has a beard that joins the Yankee, you must shave before you start playing.
Yes.
So for Koreans who know a bit about baseball, they know this rule already. And especially Lotte Giants fans, they know all this. They should know that. All you Lotte Giants fans out there, you're going to finish last again this year. Anyway, so for those unfamiliar...
You might be banned from the airwaves.
I'm a
Okay, but-
Samsung Lions fan. Anyway.
왜 이러세요,
So
Besana?
let's jump because we're
Yes.
running out of time, I think, here.
Yes.
I brought in some photos.
Photos.
Of before and after.
Okay.
So I've brought in 6 photos.
Uh-huh. Are we talking about the baseball players?
Five of them are baseball players.
Yes.
So let's have a look at photo number 1. This is Randy Johnson. So he is an amazing, I think he won the C.Y. Young Award 5 times. On the left is before he joined.
What did you call the award?
The C.Y. Young.
Isn't it? It's a Cy Young award.
Okay.
C.Y. No, Cy Young.
Well, it stands for
Yes.
a person's name, so it's
I know,
a C.Y.
No, Cy.
Anyway,
Yes.
so it's that's Randy Johnson on the left for the Mariners before he joined the Yankees on the right.
I see facial hair.
Yeah, but
That's a stubble.
it's a stubble. That's
Stubble's
acceptable.
okay?
Acceptable. That's probably the limit where they would be
That's
allowed
the maximum.
to. Yeah.
But look at the hair.
Yeah, which one do you like?
Oh,
Left
the
or right.
The right.
The right?
The short.
Okay, I kind of like the left. Kind of the Lotte Giants closer. He
Yes.
has hair like that, and that's kind of okay. Let's have a look at number 2.
Okay.
The second one is Jason Giambi. So on the left, playing for Oakland A's, and on the right, he looks like a baby face. I think he looks better with facial hair, right?
I don't know. I kind of like my men
he looks-
clean. Not my men, but men clean shaven.
He looks 12 there on the right hand side.
He does look younger.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see
the
another
third
one.
one, Johnny Damon. Okay, Murph would love this because on the left he played for the Boston Red Sox.
I kind of like him with facial hair.
Yeah, and on the right, that's when the
Right.
Yankees. I was upset with this. Why did they buy somebody who's so old? Anyway, the next one, current player. This is Garrett Cole. So on the left was when I think he was with the Houston Astros. And then on the right was signing day. So
Left. Some people look good with facial hair.
Definitely.
Right.
Not me.
And shouldn't it be a personal choice?
Yes, and that's why they're changing the rules so that they can open up their scouts to more players.
Okay,
A lot of
okay.
people have not joined because they had to shave.
Really?
Yeah, and there are just rumors because nobody's come forward.
Okay.
And the last player, this guy has actually gone from the Yankees on the left.
Where he was clean shaven.
He was clean shaven, and he's gone to Detroit, where he immediately grew a beard.
So the before and after leaving the Yankees. That's funny.
And now that he's left, they've changed the rules. so I'm wondering whether can I go back?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Okay, I've got one more photo.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Who's that?
Is that you?
That's me.
On the left?
All of them.
No, but
Yeah,
is
that's
that your
me on
real
the
hair?
left. Yeah. No, that's somebody's photoshopping, having fun with that. But,
Oh, okay.
But in the middle,
Yeah.
that was one of my. I usually shave my hair during the summer because it's so hot here.
What is going on the right with the blonde wig?
Blonde wig. That's care of my friend Mike Dixon. This was during Halloween, and I was in a tribute band for The Doors.
Oh.
So I was the Doors keyboard player.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I
People saying wow. And then another commenter, oh. Dum dum dum.
Dum, dum, dum. Yeah, no, I cannot grow facial hair. I tried to do that Movember one time.
Oh yeah, like Andrew.
Murph was talking to me about it, and it just looks terrible. Look, yeah.
But same thing with my roommate. Like during summer vacation, if he doesn't have real classes at school, like he kind of doesn't shave. He's not clean shaven.
I can do a goatee. I can do a goatee. So when I shave my hair,
Right.
I usually do a goatee, and that looks
And your
pretty
wife
cool.
still kisses you?
Why not?
No, because for me, I was like, I don't like that scratchy on my.
When it's short, when it goes a little
It's
bit
okay,
longer,
right?
then it's
No, he
it's
grows
a
like
little
a
smoother.
stubble, and it's just like.
But I personally do not like facial hair. I shave at least once a day.
Once a day. Can you believe it's time to say goodbye?
Oh no!
I know.
Okay.
I wish we could go on and on and on, but yes, we're going to call it a wrap for today. But thank you for sharing all the stories, plus the personal
extra one.
photos. That was extra, but we loved it.
Thank
So have a wonderful weekend, and we'll
You
check in
too.
with you next Friday. Bye.
Bye bye.
everybody. That was Vasana with What in the World. It has been a real experience this whole week, and especially yesterday we celebrated our 16th anniversary, and it's like the day after, but hey, like I said earlier, 16 more years. I don't know, maybe if they don't fire me or get rid of me, but I wish you a wonderful weekend. And remember, it's going to rain tomorrow, so you might want to plan accordingly. Here is the final song for today. It's Come On, Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
새로운 다운